each hoping for a clear path to the pinnacle of the point standings. Many familiar faces are poised for the chase. They know that one race is not a season because current points leader Jeff Green proved at Daytona even a vicious tumble doesn't necessarily take you out of the title hunt. This is the focused face of a driver who has fought his way to the top. But the big question now is, can he stay there? A warm Southern California sun shines brightly over this manicured 2-mile oval as we welcome you live to our NASCAR 2000 coverage of the 4th annual Busch Series Grand National Division Auto Club 300 from California Speedway. After 9 events, veteran Jeff Green has become just a third different driver to lead the point standings. But there is a logjam at the top with 138 points separating the top 5. And note, there are 2 rookies, Ron Hornaday and Kevin Harvick, positioned in the top 10. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, and welcome to sunny Southern California. You know, in spite of the newness of this racetrack and the fact that there's been an infusion of experienced Winston Cup drivers, all 3 former Busch Series events run here have been won by Busch Series regulars, with Todd Bodine, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Matt Kenseth taking the honors. In fact, all 3 of those drivers who have won have gone on to finish no worse than 3rd in the final season-ending point standings. So Ray Dunlap, that bodes pretty well for some of the young Busch Series stars starting toward the top of today's field.
Well, it really does, Jerry, and all the Busch Series regulars want to beat the Winston Cup guys. The outside of the first 3 rows have Winston Cup guys all over it, like Ward Burton, the guy who won earlier this year in Darlington in the Winston Cup Series. But on the inside of row number 3 is a young driver, Bobby Hamilton Jr. Coming off his career best finish of 4th at Talladega, Hamilton hopes to learn today from the Busch Series regulars. On the outside of row number 2, Joe Nemechek, the guy who won just a couple of weeks ago at Talladega. Joe Nemechek's car was a little bit tight in happy hour, but he thinks they've got it figured out. On the inside of row number 2, the 57 car of Jason Keller. Now, Jason Keller is currently 10th in the Busch Series points, but he only has 2 top 10 finishes this year, and he knows it's consistency that wins championships. On the outside of row number 1, the number 9 car of Jeff Burton. Burton won earlier this year at Las Vegas, and this is the very same car he used to do so. He finished 5th in this car at Rockingham and 3rd at Darlington. He knows this car is fast, but to win, he's got to beat the pole sitter, and that's Jeff Green. Jeff Green is not only the pole sitter, but he's also the point leader. And Jeff Green has had a great season with 8 finishes of 13th or better. But 1 year ago here at California, he was running 4th with just 15 laps to go, and he spun his race car, finishing 32nd that day. Jeff Green learned a lot that day, mostly about patience. If you want to win the championship, you've got to be patient. Jeff Green knows he can win today, but he's got to keep his eye on his points. Now, there's a lot of other drivers in this field that hope to get experience today. And for more on that, let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, in a Busch Series season that has been punctuated with experience, this could be a race at a track that showcases some of that promising young talent still desperately looking for that valuable first victory. For example, Adam Petty will not turn 20 until July. This is just his 42nd career start. He rolls off 7th, hoping he can sprint to the front. 24-year-old Blaze Alexander is making his 37th career start. Today, he rolls off from the 7th position with the dream of wrestling away a win from some of the veterans. 25-year-old Hank Parker Jr. makes his 41st start. His best finish is 3rd. His biggest fan is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Hank hopes he can march into victory lane. Then there's P.J. Jones, Jason Leffler, Jimmy Johnson, and a few names on a long list of young California candidates hoping heart and passion can produce a win as the Busch Series focuses on the fresh faces so valuable to its future.
Very, very exciting time indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Automobile Club of Southern California, Thomas McKernan. Tom?
On behalf of 5 million loyal Auto Club members in Southern California and 6,000 dedicated staff, the most famous words in motorsports. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Those words, the engines have fired for these 43 stock car hopefuls. But what about the strategy? How will this one unfold? For that insight, let's hear from our 2 experts. Here's Benny Parsons and Ray Evernham. Guys?
In yesterday's NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying show, Jeff Burton, talking about today's Busch race, said there were about 10 guys all running the same speed in practice. So, Reverend, my question for you, can one of those guys do something during this race to break away from the other 9 and win the race?
Benny, probably can, but I don't think we're going to see that today. I think we're going to see a tightly bunched Busch field. If I were a crew chief, I'd be working, keeping my car free off the corner. That's speed at California Speedway. Speed is the way you get away from a pack of cars.
At Michigan and California, Ray, we're always talking about fuel mileage. Will it be an issue today?
These cars right now, everybody can go the race on 2 stops if it stays green to checker. The only time it could become an issue is if we had a caution and it put some people in a fuel window that other cars just weren't in.
Well, fuel mileage could be the spoiler today, as 43 of the world's best Busch Series drivers are poised to compete for 300 miles, 150 laps, for a purse in excess of $1.1 million at California Speedway. As ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents NASCAR. This weekend, the sun, surf, and sand of Southern California is the setting for speed and stock car racing NASCAR style. We'll be right back. On the backstretch, more of a straight line. That's the back part of the D, 2,500 feet. The banking, 14 degrees in the corners, 11 degrees in the tri-oval, and the backstretch just almost flat at 3 degrees. Our Suzuki starting grid shows that essentially the entire starting field broke the old track record, led by the points leader. There's Jeff Green. His Nesquik Chevy will lead him down alongside, as you heard him say a moment ago, Winston Cup regular Jeff Burton. Back in row 2, Jason Keller, Jeff Green's teammate, will start third, and there's Joe Nemechek, fresh off that win at Talladega. Row 3, little Bobby Hamilton Jr. Now, what a talent he is at 22 years of age, and of course Ward Burton making his first official Busch Series start for the year 2000. And there is 19-year-old Adam Petty alongside the winner of this race a year ago, and now the leader for Rookie of the Year honors in Winston Cup racing, Matt Kenseth. Guys, you look at the rest of our starting grid, you take a look at some of these drivers here. A lot of drivers realize that this is a great opportunity for the Busch Series regulars to strut their stuff out here on the West Coast.
It's going to be very difficult to do because these racetracks are just lend themselves to NASCAR and Winston Cup drivers because they've been running at Michigan for so many years and they're so doggone experienced. But Jeff Green showed them in qualifying. Maybe some of these guys can show them come race time.
So a moment ago, Boris said making his first ever oval start in the Busch Series. He's run at Watkins Glen. In fact, he was a pole sitter there years ago. Michael Waltrip making an infrequent start in Busch Series competition.
Jason Leffler back there raced in the IRL cars at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway last week. He's here in California this week in the NASCAR Busch Series.
Mike Skinner making his first of 6 starts in Andy Petrie's Albertson Chevrolet. How about Glenn Allen, the former Rookie of the Year, coming on board in the 82 car? Mark Green coming off his best finish of the year, a 7th at Talladega. That team has really come together. And Ray Evernham, so many young stars. You look at the Kevin Grubbs and the Casey Atwoods and the Hank Parker Jr.'s. So many young stars that have emerged very, very quickly in this Busch Series. And it's tracks like this will let them display their skills.
Yes, it will, Jerry. What it does is give them some good experience. This place is very fast. The draft comes into play. And the Busch cars have a unique setup. It's something that I think maybe the Busch guys can get a little bit of advantage on a normal Winston Cup guy at a place like this.
Absolutely. There's a look at this very, very wide racetrack. It's some 75 feet wide with 15-foot aprons. Our race analysis, it's 150 laps, 300 miles. The purse, the second richest race of the season thus far, $1.129 million. There's the pit window. You heard Benny and Ray talking about how fuel will be critical. And the track record, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 years ago. 9 different end cars. Benny?
Elton Sawyer starts back in 39th in the Lysol onboard camera. Kenny Irwin has the Bell South Mobility on board. He will start 29th. Glenn Allen in the Channel Lock car starts back in 27th spot. And Ron Hornaday, the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, in 16th.
Boris said in 15th spot, the Federated Auto Parts Chevy. There's P.J. Jones coming back to his native California, the Amico Cobalt Chevy. Mike McLaughlin, the Gould's Pump Chevrolet. Mike starts in 9th spot. And how about last year's winner in the same car he won with here a year ago?
That's Joe Nemechek there, the Cellular One onboard camera.
Matt Kansas will also have an onboard camera in the Visine Chevrolet. So you see the Pontiac safety car with the field of 43. There were 50 cars here to qualify. 7 didn't make it. I'll tell you, those were Bobby Hill and Tim Feeder with Chad Chaffin, Terry Labonte, Tony Roper, Michael Rich, and Lance Hooper. Those are the cars that did not qualify to start the 43 in today's field.
The cars are getting poised. They are ready for the green flag next time off turn 4. This is the middle 3 and 4. So we're just seconds away from the beginning.
I'm Jerry Punch along with Benny Parsons, Ray Evernham, Bill Weber, and Ray Dunlap. Glad to have you with us for what is a beautiful afternoon here in sunny Southern California. Shadows of the San Bernardino Mountains in the background. As they come by, the fans are on their feet. Great crowd on hand, enjoying the sun and about to enjoy the speed and stock car racing NASCAR style. Glad to have you with us as they come down to the green flag for 300 miles. As Nemechek will have the advantage. He takes third spot. Not so fast. I gave Nemechek third, but here comes Jason Keller battling back on the inside.
And a great move of Kendall trying to go on the inside, take over about the 6th spot. They were 3 wide for just a second. And Jason Keller is racing side by side with Nemechek.
They are 2 by 2 for 3rd, 7th, and 9th. Now single file. There is Kansas, the Visine Chevy, last year's winner. How about young Adam Petty, who had that great 4th place finish a year ago? Oh, cars in the wall. That is Blaze Alexander. He comes across in front of traffic.
David Green, I think, also involved. And a caution flag is waving.
Here on lap number 2, there's a damage to Felix Savada's own track phone Chevy for Blaze Alexander. 2 cars coming together out of turn 4. Alexander getting the worst of that. Heavy damage. There's the deck lid and part of the spoiler. You see that rear bar that protects the fuel cell.
It also is keeping the deck lid connected to the car. The tethers, deck lid tethers, keeping the deck lid hooked to the car, and that's good news.
See if we can see what happened. Looks like the car may have bobbled just momentarily there coming in turn 4.
There we see the car get. Ray, looks like he just got a little loose.
Yeah, Benny, tire pressure might still have been down. You know, they start with the tire pressure just a little bit down because it builds up, so it might have just been down a little bit and not giving him a good feeling right there.
All right, once again, right in the middle of the screen, the red car going by on the outside, and David Green picked the wrong time to try to pass because around goes Blaze Alexander, and David Green has no place to go. And Blaze comes back across the racetrack, and unbelievably, no one makes contact with him as he comes back across the racetrack.
Got to wonder how much damage David Green might have. He is 6th in the points, and of course the former Busch Series champion back in 1994. There's the heavily damaged car, the track phone Chevy of Blaze Alexander, the former ARCA Rookie of the Year. There is David Green coming down pit road as well. The right side of David Green's AFG glass Chevy looks to be pancaked. We'll take a break, come back and check on the damage from California Speedway in just a moment. Stay with us. They're under caution due to an incident up in turn 4. You see the pace car has leader Jeff Green in the field in tow. Here's what happened a moment ago to Blaze Alexander's car number 81.
Right in the middle of the screen, see the red and white car? He starts to go by Alexander. Blaze gets a little bit loose, and he backed it in the fence, and David Green in the red and white car has no place to go. And how in the world all these cars missed him is beyond me.
Well, P.J. Jones made a great move to get by. Another angle you see up there, and you see David Green's car pancake the wall on the right side. Watch P.J. Jones, the yellow freight car, just come to the inside across the grass. A great move by a 31-year-old rookie in Busch Series competition. Let's ride along with P.J. and see what he had to see.
Yellow freight on board. He sees the cars coming off the wall. He sees them coming down the hill. He says, man, I got to go down, and through the grass he goes. And as you're right, you luckily missed him.
Let's check in on the Blaze Alexander pits with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Jerry, believe it or not, the damage on the suspension of the race car is not as bad as we thought it might have been with that hit to the wall. But the rear bumper cover is completely missing. Their biggest problem is the ability to support the spoiler. So they've gone to the garage right now in order to try to work on the number 81 car. And we'll be back with more racing in the Busch Grand National Series from California right after this.
And David Green swept up into it, had some damage as well. And Abernathy waves the green flag, and Jeff Green leads them down for a restart here on lap number 7.
It's Michael Waltrip, the green and white car. Unusual colors, are different colors for his car this week, the Band-Aid car. LaJoy, P.J. Jones, that's LaJoy, the 1 car battle for the lead. Jeff Burton looks in the 9 car, says I can't make it, so he pulls back in behind Jeff Green in the 10. And Joe Hill all of a sudden just out on the racetrack, just allowed Ward Burton to take over the 3rd place.
Driving the Polaris Pontiac. There's Hank Parker Jr., one of the young lines, the Rick Rathbun Team Marine Chevy back there working for Prediction. There's Vising Chevrolet, and as Benny mentioned, Nemechek's car looks to be really moving up. It's wobbling a little bit in the middle of the corner.
Looks like they might have started that car a little bit free, hoping that it would tighten up as the run went on. So he's got to move it up the racetrack to keep it from spinning out.
Abreast a moment ago here, talking about Hank Parker Jr. There he makes a move underneath Mike McLaughlin for position. There comes the 3 car of Hornaday. We mentioned that a moment ago. David Green, the 1994 Busch Series champion, was involved in the first incident. Let's check in with his status. I think he's actually standing with Bill Weber.
Currently 6th in the points. Heavy suspension damage to the right front. Couldn't do anything about it, though, could you, David?
No, Bill, it's unfortunate. You know, I kind of made a commitment to going outside. My car is really good. The AFG glass car has been good all weekend. And I guess Blaze lost it right there. And I tried to get woed up, and he come up into me and squeezed me in the wall. But as they say, it's racing. But proud of my guys. The car was good. But 2 weeks in a row right here is not typical. Being in the garage fixing repairs, so we'll work hard and get up.
It's easy to say, but you guys believed you sincerely had a shot at winning here today.
Well, we had a shot at the front row with Jeffer, you know, and but we had a little boo-boo there, and we were good at happy hour. But it always happens when things are good, and the most thing that I'm proud of, you know, again, my car runs good, and my team works hard each and every week. But it's unfortunate. This is racing, I guess, but it's hard to swallow. But it's going to be a good day for us.
Tough break for David Green, the eldest of the three Green brothers. Is David, then Mark, then Jeff, who currently is the points leader and the race leader.
And Nemechek up in the gray stuff. Ray, he is really struggling. Started back in 4th, is now moved back to about 15th spot.
Sure is, Benny. And by watching that car, I would have to say it's loose. He's moving up and slowing up in the high groove. I don't know if one of the guys on pit road can check that for us, but I would say he's got a loose race car.
As you take a look at Joe Nemechek, who started 4th, now is currently running 15th. A moment ago, you saw the hood. There's the hood of that Cellular One Chevrolet. Joe and the Cellular One team are trying to raise awareness of a missing child in Las Vegas, Nevada. On the hood, they will display the picture of 7-year-old Carla Rodriguez, who disappeared on her way to school back last October of 1999. So they certainly are trying to help everyone involved with trying to find Carla, and that's why they have that picture right there on the hood of their Chevrolet. So kudos to Joe Nemechek and the Cellular One team trying to help out with missing children.
Dave Blaney Blaney driving the 20, the AT&T car this weekend.
Back up front, there is Jeff Green, the Nesquik Chevrolet. Behind him, Jeff Burton. There's the battle for third position. Ward Burton's Polaris Pontiac. That's a Bill Davis car. Behind him, there is Matt Kenseth, car number 17. Reiser Enterprises Chevrolet. John and Robbie Reiser own that car. That is not a Jack Roush car. Kenseth drives for Jack Roush on Sundays. There's a look at Matt.
And you ever see Dave Blaney trying to get by? He's going in the middle of P.J. Jones, a 19 car, and 87 of Nemechek. Goes by Jones and is trying to get by the 87 car. Looks like he will, so we'll put the... Oh, here comes Nemechek back on the outside. And Boris Said comes down pit road.
36-year-old driver driving for Jimmy Spencer in the Federated Auto Parts Chevy. Said making his first ever oval track Busch start, only his second ever, and an unscheduled pit stop as he heads down to George Church and the Jimmy Spencer crew. They will raise the hood there.
There are the first 4 cars. Everybody is a battle for the 5th spot, and we see the 21 car of Mike Dillon. The Rock, oh, I'm sorry, that's Derek Gilchrist.
Hot Tamales car of Derek Gilchrist, the Andy Petrie-owned car. And Gilchrist has tagged it pretty heavily there. Fluid from the front and rear of the car, looks like. It actually may be shadows in the rear of the car, but he's hit it pretty heavily with the front of the car. But he takes the window net down. There's another shot from outside. Derek Gilchrist with a 10-race deal with Hot Tamales to drive this car, or a car for Andy Petrie. Not sure they'll drive this car anymore.
The right rear tire was flat on that car. I'm not sure exactly what that means, if anything. And Gilchrist is on the outside, and all of a sudden the car just spins around, and he comes around and just going to smack it with the front. Oh, man. One more angle. As he locks up the brakes, sometimes that will flat spot the tires and they go flat, but all the other tires seem to be up, but the right rear was flat.
A little bit different angle looking back toward the turn. You see the car loop around. Take a look at that right rear tire. He jams the throttle and boom, nose first into the wall as the car slides directly toward our camera, bringing out the second caution flag of the day here on lap number 13.
Well, I guess the front's flat as well, so I guess it was. He slamming on the brakes. He's trying to go by on the outside of Glen Allen, and maybe just gets in the corner a little too high, Ray.
I don't know if that tire was flat or not. Certainly could have been going low, but this track is tricky, especially for young rookies. Derek does not have a lot of experience. This place is so smooth and so fast. The car does not give you a lot of feel before it wants to go sideways. And I think that the car gets out from under some of these young guys before they even realize it's going.
Well, he's a talented young driver with a lot of races left, but his day is probably over here at California Speedway. We are under caution for the second time. Derek Gilchrist climbs out. Back in just a moment. Brazilian driver Gil de Ferran is a 2-time pole winner this season, but is searching for his first win with new car owner Roger Penske. Rio de Janeiro native Roberto Moreno is on the brink of scoring his first career kart win. Boy, he'd love to do it in his home country of Brazil. It's the Kart FedEx Championship Series going international. The Kart Rio 200 live from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, a part of the Go Network, go.com. Working caution for the second time today due to a spin up in turn 3 by Derek Gilchrist in his Hot Tamales Chevrolet. Pretty heavy front end damage to that car. Gilchrist is okay. A number of drivers have been on pit road, including Joe Nemechek, who comes back down pit road for the second time. Let's go down to Ray.
Well, the reason, Jerry, is his car is just terrible. Joe says the car is so tight he cannot drive it in the center of the corners. They made major chassis adjustments on this car last time in. Went down 2 rounds on the right rear track bar and 3 rounds on the right rear spring. So they're going to make a few more adjustments here on the 87 car. This could be tire pressure here. And another thing is they want to make sure they have as much fuel as they have possible in it. One more adjustment on the right rear there. So hopefully it'll make Joe Nemechek's car a little bit because it was way too tight.
Right.
And Boris said is on pit road. The Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet, the hood is up, and they're spraying water. Looks like it may be overheating is the problem.
As you take a look at Boris Said's car trying to get prepared here. Let's check with Ray Evernham. Let me ask you, you see the car number 87 of Nemechek plowing across the racetrack. And there's so many different things you can adjust here. They're working with the springs and track bar.
Well, first, I thought it was loose, so I get the big dummy award on that. That's why I'm up here with you guys instead of down on pit road now. But yes, that we can take wedge in, take wedge out by adjusting the jack screws on top of the springs and raising and lowering the track bar. Another thing that makes a big difference to these cars is tire pressure. So when they change tires, I saw them working on the left side there. They can put spring rubbers in and out. There are several changes that you can make to affect that car.
So many variables. How about an update on Boris Said's car with Ray Dunlap?
Well, Jerry, they had too much tape on the front grill of that race car, and it was overheating, and Boris was watching the water temperature go up and up. So they decided to come in, put some water in the radiator, and pull a little bit of tape off. So that should make his car just fine. He'll have to go back out, of course, at the back of the field.
By the way, Boris Said will actually run 3 Winston Cup races this year, driving for Jimmy Spencer in a Winston Cup car. He'll run Sears Point, he'll run Sonoma at Sears Point, Watkins Glen, and also Homestead, driving a Ford Taurus for Jimmy Spencer. Let's show you while we're under caution here, just on lap 13, the car 51 down in turn 3.
Goes in and it appears like he's going a little bit too high. Derek Gilchrist in the Hot Tomatoes car loses the back end, and when he goes around, he just smacks that wall. Onboard camera with Glenn Allen. Channel lock onboard camera. And it looks so easy. It looked like the car was running 20 miles per hour, but folks, trust me, with all that damage, the thing had to be probably running 150, 55 miles per hour when he hits the wall.
We mentioned the hard impact in the front of that car. You got to consider the radiator and the coolers and everything else in the front of that thing absolutely just blunted back to the front of the block there in the engine area. So some work for Andy Petrie Racing and their crew. Tough break for Derek Gilchrist. We were in the early laps here at California Speedway. 4th Annual Auto Club 300 did the stop number 10 on the $14 million 32-race NASCAR Busch Series Tour, and the only time they come to California for the Busch cars. Certainly enjoy coming out here in the sunny Southern California climate. Begin our NASCAR weekend. Busch action today and NASCAR Winston Cup coverage from here tomorrow. Getting set for the restart. Great crowd on hand.
Tell that guy to sit down. Jerry, I can't see. Okay, now I see.
Go, go, go.
And with those words, Jeff Green plants that right foot firmly in the throttle, snatches those gears back to 4th, and heads for turn 1. Was a 2-car breakaway before has now become a 3-car.
Matt Kenseth in the 17 car right on board with him now. The Visine Chevrolet started back in the 8th position and he's worked his way up to 3rd.
Oh, look at that. They scatter 3 wide. There is Todd Bodine. Winner here back of the inaugural Busch Series event back in 1997. His last career victory came here back in 97.
That's Randy LaJoie, the Bob Evans Wrestlers, #1, the red car behind Ron Hornaday. This is a battle for the 9th spot. Hornaday has the Napa Chevrolet in 9th, and LaJoie would love to have that spot. But meanwhile, that's Michael Waltrip trying to sneak a peek on the inside of LaJoie. Now on the outside of LaJoie.
9th, 10th, and 11th you're looking at there. All the colors of Ron Hornaday's Napa Chevy flash by. Now here goes the 15 car. That's Mike Skinner, Albertson Chevy. Take a look at LaJoie's car. Started back in 19th spot. He's now in 10th position. Pretty heavy impact 2 weeks ago at Talladega for the former 2-time champion. Talking about LaJoie. There's a 35 of Brendan Amick right behind the 7, Michael Waltrip. Brendan Amick spent the last 2 weeks in Bora Bora on his honeymoon.
Good for him.
Flew back to L.A. late, about 10:30 on Wednesday night, in time to practice and qualify here on Thursday. Back up front, Jeff Green, S-Quick Chevy. Green looking for his first victory in the year 2000 after 2 runner-up finishes early this year at Bristol and Rockingham. Jeff Burton driving the same car he won with earlier this year at Las Vegas, Busch competition. And, of course, the car that won here a year ago is the 17 car of Matt Kenseth. There's the battle, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th in line as they go by.
Matt Kenseth has missed a race and